Tess Holiday is one of the most influential plus-size women in the world. She broke a lot of stereotypes in fashion, forcing plus-size brands to take a more modern approach. Kind of like Clara Dao, her message was to accept yourself unapologetically. But unlike Clara, Tess stuck by her beliefs and continues to do so. The reason I brought Clara into the conversation is that these two ladies are very much alike. They were body positivity YouTubers who helped a lot of people accept themselves. But they also have a dark side. Clara has her unhealthy under-eating habits and the need to belong in a group, while Tess loves to be the center of attention, overeating her feelings and cosplaying mental illness to protect her brand. Today we are talking about Tess Holiday from the very beginning. I want to understand why she made those decisions that have made her infamous and basically kinda dangerous. In the meantime, you can subscribe. It's completely free. Now, something I do want to make clear here, I will play devil's advocate for Tess. This doesn't mean that I am on her side, but I think having two sides of the coin will help us be more honest about what we really think of her. I don't want to dogpile or hate just because that's what the majority are doing. I really want to understand what happened here using empathy and compassion. I hope you can join me in this one. Tess' real name, Ryan Megan Hooven, was born in Lauren, Mississippi on July 5th of 1985. Her parents separated when she was a baby, so her mom took her and her older brother and left, moving from place to place several times.
My mom met this man and became engaged, and when I was 9 years old, her fiance shot my mom in the back of the head twice in our bathtub. She was in a coma. My mom did wake up from the coma and went through years of rehabilitation.
Tess and her brother had to move in with their grandparents, and once their mom got better, they kind of stayed with the grandpas, but they moved to a trailer that was parked inside the family's property. After the incident, Tess became her mom's caregiver. She helped her walk again and even talk. It was tough for a tween to 1. Have endured a horrendous attack against her mother, 2. Almost lose her altogether, and 3. Become the mother of her house until the mother got better. She had to mature very quickly, but her mom paid her back by being her #1 cheerleader. Tess was still speaking with her dad, and when the attack on her mom happened, she reached out to him thinking it was going to be safer there. She was sadly mistaken. She found out her dad was deeply troubled. He will tell Tess she was fat and will be a nobody at life. She was also experiencing deep traumas at school, getting bullied because of her weight, because she was very pale, and because her mother was disabled and had to live in a trailer. And it wasn't only her dad and peers that will reject her for her weight. When she was 15, she thought it would be fun to apply as a plus-size model. Tess is 5'3", and by that time she was around 150 pounds or more. She was a size 16 US. Well, the casting auditioners told her no because of her height and weight. Tess was under so much stress, she dropped out of school at 17, and she also dropped her dad later on.
The bullying had gotten worse. I had gotten a death threat at my house, and I came home crying, and my mom said she didn't want me attending school anymore, so she pulled me out of school, and I proceeded to get my GED.
She knew she was made to be in the spotlight somehow, so Tess found herself working as a fashion show director. Things were looking good. She was 20 and she was working in something she loved. She will eventually meet someone and, things took a turn into the horizontal and she will turn up pregnant because of it. A one-night stand. The guy bolted, never to be seen again. So Tess returned to Mississippi where her first kid was born. The desire to become a model was still lurking though.
I had taken photos of myself and I had put them on Model Mayhem.
But it wasn't until 2010 that her life will finally change. She moved to LA and in the meantime found a job as a receptionist at a dental office. But she didn't stay for long because she found a job as a plus-size model for a fashion brand named Torrid after she participated in the House of Dreams Model Search, which is an annual plus-size casting competition. But that Model Mayhem post will put her in the eyes of A&E for a 2011 documentary called Heavy, a show where obese people were trying to lose weight.
I ended up being on buses and billboards. I was in magazines. It was after that shoot that I started branching out and doing conceptual shoots. And I think people kind of just started to see my personality. Designers started to notice. People online started to notice. Within just the year, I was working with people that I never thought that I would be working with and doing all kinds of fun things.
A year later, she met her future husband, an Australian photographer named Nick Holiday. In 2015, Tess was signed by Milk Model Management in Curves, which is what they call their plus sizes.
I've done 2 high fashion shoots. I've shot 2 major covers. I am continuing to do even cooler stuff in the high fashion world.
And not only that, but this was also the year she got married and welcomed her second son in 2016. It's clear she worked her ass off for this. Probably her mom's words overpower all the mean-spirited comments she received as a child. Her mom and grandpas knew she was going to be famous somehow. It was just a matter of time. So, the modeling thing was done. She made it. But Tess still needed people to understand that she had every right to be a model.
Being beautiful and feeling good shouldn't have a label or a number or a certain look to it. It should just be who you want to be and embracing who you already are.
But people did not like the fact that Tess was a morbidly obese woman.
We are a fat and ever-fattening country, and here are you as an editor of a very popular magazine telling women it's fine to be 300 pounds. I don't get it.
Before she exploded in fame, Tess created a very powerful hashtag back in 2013.
It was because of my past with the bullying and everything like that that I started my body positive movement, Eff Your Beauty Standards. If you feel tired of society telling you how you should and shouldn't dress and how you should and shouldn't look, then post a photo of yourself. And now it has over 500,000 shares. It's created a worldwide network and community of women and men that are sick of basically society trying to put them in an unrealistic mold of what they should and shouldn't look like and wear. And it completely changed my life.
This movement will be the fuel for the fat acceptance, health at every size, and body positivity communities to blossom. And she also spoke up about bullying online. There were a bunch of accounts named Project Harpoon that will take famous plus-size actresses, influencers, and models, including Tess, photoshopping their bodies into a more conventional size.
It's abominable that this Facebook page is using my image without permission to promote themselves. I am asking my followers to boycott this page and any others like it. Loving yourself is the most powerful message we all need to stand behind.
In 2019, Tess and her husband separated and finally divorced in 2020. A year later, Tess will talk a little about her marriage, citing it as toxic and abusive. In 2020, she started speaking with her dad again, squashing whatever beef they had and started building a normal relationship for the future, for both them and for the grandkids. Tess became an advocate for those whose voices were silenced because of their weight. That is very powerful. But just like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. And let's just say, Tess will stumble on that one. When she launched her famous hashtag Eff Your Beauty Standards, she created t-shirts to sell, telling everyone she will give a portion of her earnings to a women's shelter, but ultimately failed to deliver on her promise. She claimed that logistics were the problem, then it was the post office's fault, but then she bit the bullet and took accountability for it all. She thought she could pull it off, but it was just too much for her in the end.
I'm sorry that I have disappointed some of you, and I've learned a lot through this experience. This has been a difficult year, but I can say with 100% certainty that my team and I are on solid footing and appreciate everyone's understanding and continued support. I'm sorry for everything that's happened, and I wish that things hadn't gone this way. I wish everyone had gotten their order seamlessly. I wish I had had more knowledge before going into this. It's really hard to see Abe's associated with something so negative, but I will continue to work on the issue.
I really think this was user error. It's kind of what I believe the Colleen Ballinger Cancer Fundraising started. They thought it was going to be a wholesome and easy job, but it ended up more complicated than they anticipated. Tess suffered violence her entire childhood. Her stepdad shot her mom. Her dad was also abusive. She got pregnant by a man who evaporated once he learned she was pregnant. And she got a divorce from her husband claiming domestic abuse. I doubt she was pulling all of this just to look good, which in the end she did not. Tess made a weird comment on an interview with The Guardian.
I do admit that black men love me. I always forget that. And then I come to a black neighborhood and I remember.
People thought this had racist undertones, so she quickly apologized on Facebook, denying she meant to offend anybody. To be fair, she could be right. This is anecdotal to her, so her experiences with guys flirting with her might very well be correct without having any weird or bigoted background. She is very beautiful, whether you are into big girls or not. Her face is objectively beautiful, and she's also quite bubbly. I bet there are plenty of people who would love to hang out with her.
I always thought that I overate. But then people in my life would say, oh yeah, I eat more than Tess. And it was almost like I wore it as a badge of honor.
In 2021, Tess claimed to have atypical anorexia nervosa. This is a real thing, by the way. It is an eating disorder that is basically your typical anorexia symptoms, but having a normal weight, or people can be overweight. To be diagnosed with it, you have to eat less than usual, you have to be afraid of gaining weight, and you have to perceive yourself in an altered state as if you think you are bigger than you really are. They don't look like they have this disorder, mainly because they started with a high BMI, and then they started having the symptoms. The reasons why they don't seem in danger is that despite their rapid weight loss, because they started big, they are either still overweight or they present a normal BMI. Tess claims she will eat a lot and then spend days without eating when she was younger, and this behavior persisted until a dietitian referred her to a psychologist, claiming she might have this disorder, hence the diagnosis in 2021. She was already a big name in the fat acceptance / body positivity movement, so now she was speaking up about how everybody needs to nurture themselves and that these types of disorders shouldn't be tied to weight.
I've had a lot of messages from folks that are anorexic that are livid and angry because they feel like I'm lying. I am plus size, but advocating for diversity in larger bodies. And so I think for people hearing me say I'm anorexic was really jarring.
I am really gonna try here. This disorder can totally happen on a larger body. They tend to overeat and later spend a large amount of time fasting, kind of like bulimia. Here is where I stop, because whatever type of anorexia, the ending is still the same. Skinny to the bones and sometimes death. Tess has only gained weight. We haven't seen her smaller than what she presented in her previous photographs. Cosplaying illnesses and disorders, dude, you have to be garbage to hijack something so important just for attention. There is nothing to defend here. Tess is lying, and we can actually see it with our own eyes. In 2020, Tess went to the Grammys wearing a designer dress extremely popular on social media, the infamous strawberry dress. Well, she was put on the worst dress list, and she claimed it was because of fat phobia.
I like how this dress had me on worst dress lists when I wore it in January to the Grammys, but now because a bunch of skinny people wore it on TikTok, everyone cares. To sum it up, our society hates fat people, especially when we are winning.
Huh? You may say? Well, the dress was everywhere, and there were plenty of videos and pictures on TikTok and Instagram where straight-sized girls will wear it, and everyone in the comments was gushing over them about how beautiful and magical they looked in it. And here we have Tess, coined it as one of the poopy heads of the night. Another point, the original dress by the designer only went to size 16, so Tess had to have one made just for her size, which was a criticism to the original designer. How come you don't cater to bigger bodies? Well, ma'am, it's just easy math. Making clothes costs money, and the bigger the person, the more fabric they need to use. If it is a designer, then you can bet the patterns are custom made, plus there should be an influx of bigger sizes trying to buy the dress in masses. But there wasn't. I'm sure there were a lot of girlies trying to get their hands on one of these dresses, but it was just not enough to justify the cost of making them in the first place. And why would you want to buy this ugly-ass dress in the first place? The color, so unflattering, the kindergarten pattern, everybody looks awful in it, okay? I agree with the fashion police, this dress is garbage. It's not Tess's fault, it's just the fact that this late 30-year-old is wearing a toddler tutu at the Grammys. There is nobody to defend here. I would put the designer in jail if I could. Disgusting! But come on, look at the dress. Tell me in the comments if you will buy one. It was around $500, by the way. In 2026, Tess wanted to get life insurance but was denied because she is 5'3" and over 300 pounds. She claimed there was no reason to deny the coverage because she is a non-smoker, non-drinker, has no health issues, it's just her size the problem.
I'm sorry. Yes, I did think that I could get life insurance as a 40-year-old non-smoking, non-drinking, non-health issue having human. And that was honestly my bad. It was my bad. I know. Am I 5'3" and do I weigh over 300 pounds? And apparently that makes me ineligible for life insurance. Yeah, it does. It does. Do I work out every single day and have no pre-existing conditions or take any kind of medication? Yeah, I do. But hey, I also understand that the medical industrial complex, is fat phobic and inherently the system is broken. And I understand, and that's my bad and that's on me. And honestly, it won't happen again. That lesson learned.
There is a problem with patients being stereotyped because of their weight getting dismissed without a proper diagnosis. People with PCOS, people with gastro issues, some type of cancer, don't know they have a problem because doctors with just one look attribute all their issues to their weight. How dangerous is that? So yeah, I believe there's a severe lack of empathy towards people with obesity. That being said, Tess Holiday is clearly an unhealthy person. She claims she had no other affliction, but just by looking at her, I can tell she has at least two things going on with her. Her midsection is very big, meaning she probably has a lot of visceral fat.
It's a fat that promotes the hardening of the arteries, promotes diabetes, promotes inflammation.
In a study led by the doctor, results showed men at a normal weight but with a big belly were more than twice as likely to die compared to obese men. Women in the same situation were 32% more likely to die. A measurement called a waist-to-hip ratio can show if you have too much abdominal fat. To find it, divide your waist circumference by your hip measurement.
Certainly, if the value is more than 1, it's bad.
And the second part is something almost everyone hates nowadays. BMI. I agree that BMI is quite an archaic way to describe health, but we still live in a world that is at the mercy of this invisible force named gravity. That force still affects us, mainly our joints.
Weight affects your joints with gravity, pulls down too much across the joint surface, and then the inflammatory response. So when there's too much weight on top of the femur, it puts pressure across the entire joint, pressure across the surface of the joint, pressure on the ligaments, the tendons, and the meniscus that are in between. It's just like a bridge. The cement, the cables that support the bridge, if there's too much weight across the bridge, across the joints, then the bridge and the structures will eventually collapse.
Tess Holiday's joints seem to be doing not very great. Obesity is not healthy, just as being underweight is not healthy either. Morbid obesity carries a lot of medical risks, so of course she was denied life insurance. It's not fat phobia, it's just decades and decades of science proving the point over and over again.
You have the fatty liver, not me. You have the high cholesterol, not me. You have type 2 diabetes, not me. Not me. I could not be happier that a GLP-1 fixed all your issues, girly pop. So happy for you. But I just have one quick question. Would a person that's not healthy have dewy, gorgeous, glowy skin like this?
Tess told people she was starting to take care of herself, eating things that will nurture her body, and something magical started to happen. She lost weight.
You know, I just did school drop off and I was sitting here thinking to myself, why is me losing weight different this time than maybe it has been the previous time? And I know if you grew up in the 90s and 2000s, you know that if you were plus size, you were automatically on a plus size to weight loss train. Whether that was Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, 100 calorie snack packs. We've all been victimized by that. I've tried to lose weight before, but why is this time different? I think I carried other people's projections about my weight. The weight of other people's projections onto me was so heavy. And I finally feel free. I feel freer than I ever have. And people are always going to talk. I just don't have to let it get to me anymore.
It's good that she approached this through nurturing rather than beauty standards. Well, only she knows for sure. Well, people are pissed at her. People from her own community, that is. They are calling her a traitor of the movement, or that this whole "I'm just eating healthy" is a lie and she's on Ozempic. It's something really funny when you see people claiming Eff Your beauty standards but body shame people that don't follow theirs. Hypocrites. Well, more than this, it's cultish. Tess finding another approach to her health while their own people are going insane on her only shows how they were not following her as a person or as the voice of fat acceptance. They were happy their addiction became popular, and once the biggest voice of their movement decided she was going to veer directions, they felt threatened, and that's why they turned on her. But this is as far as I'm going to defend Tess, because now she is a victim, but she kind of created the rules. Again, she was a pioneer on the body positivity, health at every size, and fat acceptance movements in modern day. She was very vocal about it, so this is kind of like that bronze bull from ancient times.
What the hell are you talking about?
Someone created this big-ass bull to put people inside and burn them alive. But because the creator said he included a horn to make the bull sing while torturing a human, the emperor or king or whatever was disgusted by this, making the creator the very first to test it.
What was that?
So basically she's been cancelled by her own invention / creation / movement / followers. So, a toxic community turning toxic towards each other. Makes a lot of sense to me. Tess said she blocked almost her entire family because they said nothing about Palestine, Congo, and Sudan.
I've never been quiet since the day I've entered this earth, and I feel like if you're quiet when so many injustices are happening, not just here, but Palestine, Sudan, Congo, etc., then I literally blocked my brother yesterday. I'm not speaking to my mom, my stepmom, my dad. I'm collecting them like Pokemon. I'm like, who can I block next? And it stinks, but I just think that you have to stand for something. And I think as you get older or mature, and I feel like you guys are already far more mature than I was at your age, you have to stand for what matters to you, and when you see things happening, you have to say something.
When Tess Holiday is talking about how she just blocks everyone that disagrees with her, she is furthering the political divide. And she is encouraging teens, she's at Teen Vogue right now, she is continuing to push that narrative.
Not defending her either, this truly pisses me off. The virtue signaling of this woman is so repugnant. Some people don't want to be involved in complicated things like international conflicts because they are, complicated. Not only that, but they are a very hot topic that people get very passionate about. So they made the decision to stay out of it, but they were still punished for not being performative enough. Performativism has become a norm, or should I say, a cult? Another cultish behavior in Tess's life. Quite interesting. It's as if she enjoys following or being followed by people. She wants to be the victor while being the victim at the same time. Quite trendy nowadays. The one thing that really shocks me is the fact that she suffered her mom almost dying. She took care of her, and her mom was grateful. Her mom was the one pushing Tess into trying, never giving up on the modeling dream. And just because she didn't talk politics, bam, she's gone. That was it. Tess is focused on optics instead of her family, and let's remember that Tess is a mother of 2, so she's basically taking those kids from their families because of politics. Now, you know what? No, scratch that. It's not because of politics. This is because of wrong thinking. You disagree with me or said something I disliked? Well, you are wrong because I know I'm right, so you must be the enemy. Dangerous way to see life. Very lonely at the end. I guess I can squeeze something here. Tess has suffered rejection her entire life. Her dad, her classmates, model agencies, her first kid's father, and so on. Maybe she has developed some kind of avoidance disorder. It's not normal to just cut people out of your life so easily like that. That is it. That's all I have. I feel like I need to hammer things home. Fat phobia is a real thing, and it's not only bigger people that targets. Everybody is.
Thank you, Amy. You've deleted this tweet. It went viral, got millions of views, and you wrote, "It's so scary that doctors aren't taught nutrition. Like, how can you take their advice seriously when they live such unhealthy personal lives? Interesting that people think you have to be ripped in order to be healthy."
So yeah, nobody's safe from fat phobia, not even the buff dudes. There are cases where overweight people go to the doctor seeking help, they get told whatever problem comes from their weight, and when they finally find someone who really cares, it's something horrible.
28-year-old Rebecca Heil says for as long as she can remember, doctors have responded to her medical complaints by telling her to lose weight.
By the end of it, I had coughed up blood repeatedly. I shouldn't have to sleep in my shower every night because I can't breathe. It was the first time in my life that I remember having a doctor take me seriously. The first moment I saw my surgeon, who said, "You have carcinoid cancer," and the time that I had surgery was 2 weeks.
These cases exist. They happen every day in every single place in the world. This is not a black and white thing, and Tess is not helping either. A movement that could be not only for everyone, but actually changing the medical field into a more inclusive diagnosis was taken as a way to celebrate food addiction. I mean, just look at how Lizzo was unceremoniously kicked out once she decided she wanted to lose weight.
Lizzo's been losing weight for about a year, but it seems like recently with her new music being released, she's sort of hard launched her weight loss, or other people are registering it as such for the first time. I actually unfollowed Lizzo about a year ago because it was too much weight loss content for me. Let's talk about celebrity weight loss. Some of you may have seen the Rebel Wilson swimsuit photo showing off her weight loss and what she has said about it, which is essentially, "I'm so much better now." It's not necessarily about the weight loss itself, although it is really hard to lose one of the few role models and representations we've had. But that wouldn't necessarily feel like betrayal if it weren't for the way that they talked about it. Two of the celebrity weight loss stories that really hit me hard as a kid were Jordan Sparks and Jennifer Hudson. And the reason that it hurt me so much when I was so young was because that was the only representation I saw of bodies anything like mine as a really young kid growing up in the 2000s.
They were the face of the movement, but once they started to shrink, then they were the traitors. How ironic is it? Nobody should promote obesity. Nobody should promote extreme thinness. People should focus in nurturing their bodies and regular healthy habits like eating vegetables, fruits, working out, drinking water, whatever. I agree with listening to your body, but the vast majority of people who claim to do that are listening to their cravings instead. That doesn't count. Hopefully, Tess continues that path and keeps losing the weight her body doesn't need. Hopefully, her psychologist stops wasting her cash and starts doing her job because Tess is clearly in need of some therapy. And hopefully, Tess can understand that social media fame is ephemeral. It will vanish, but there are going to be people that will remain. The people she pushed away. Tess might have dumped her family, but I'm sure they will accept her back with open arms because that's what family is for. No doubt, Tess Holiday had a traumatic beginning of her life, and those experiences bled to her present. But she's an adult now. She is the one in control of herself. She knows right from wrong, so there is no excuse for playing the victim in things she cannot have. She could be 40 right now, but she's acting like a teenager. What bothers me the most is the fact that she is a mother. What is she teaching her kids? Like Clara, I don't think she is a villain. I think this is a troubled woman who had to grow up very fast, and people around her were mean-spirited. She had to fight for her right to exist, but not anymore. She has the power to become the hero of her own story, but she refuses, sadly, out of convenience. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please tell me in the comments, what do you think about Tess Holiday? What are your thoughts on her controversies? Oh, and tell me if you will buy that dress. I really want to know. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you can, it really helps. I hope I will see you again in another video. And remember, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.